Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Jenny. Welcome to my home in Minnesota. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Jenny Jorgensen. I'm an interior designer. This is my dog Breezy, and welcome to my home in Orono, Minnesota. So I've been living in this home for about 3 years. When we walked into the house for the first time, it was not exactly our style, but it was the height of the market during COVID, and we needed to get out of our condo with our newborn. So we bought the house, and I would describe it as unfortunate rustic modern. We used as much as we could, but we took out all of those textures that weren't really us and just kind of created a clean slate to display our art collection, and that was the ultimate goal. When we stepped inside for the first time, we loved the light, and we loved the flow of the home, like the size of the spaces. There were also a shocking amount of bars in the home. I mean, like wine fridges and bars everywhere that we kept a few, but we demoed quite a bit as well. You know, our styles were just very different, and I think our priorities were very different as a family of young kids. We didn't necessarily want bars everywhere. Hello, and welcome to my living room. As you can see, it's a pretty large space full of natural light, so I divided it up into 3 areas. But I'll start you in the turret. We love the turret, this family. A couple highlights in here. These are designed by me and my business partner. This is kind of our logo. This came from my childhood home. It was in my dining room. So because this whole space is full of windows, we actually decided to not do window treatments in here because the light just floods in, and it is so minimalist. You know, it lets everything else pop. All the shapes, all the textures. These chairs, for example, like the form of these chairs, I'm just obsessed with. I've wanted them forever, and I finally got them. This, one of my dearest friends, she travels half the year, and she found this beautiful fabric in the mountains in India, and she brought it home for me, and I haven't come up with a use other than this for it yet, but I do love it because it's a piece of art in and of itself. And I love flowers. You know, flowers everywhere all the time, in my opinion. It makes life happier. These side tables here are actually vintage speakers. My dad was in a band, and music has always been a huge part of my life. And he gave me his record player about 10 years ago. And, you know, it was the one that he had, you know, like in the 70s. And he kept it in perfect condition. And ever since, I've just been obsessed with this vintage sound. So this is the kind of the perfect listening room. And these were actually found in my in-laws' cabin when they bought it. And I, asked for them and refurbished them. And now here we have these mixed with my vintage speakers, and it just works. You know, we do have a step down into the more formal living room, and I put the vintage speakers, side by side facing out so that the sound goes into the room, but I also think of them almost like columns, like separating this personal little space for reflection from the social area when you step down. If you'd like to recreate something like this in your own home, you can book a consultation with me on Taled. I love working on Taled because I get to partner with people from all over the country, whether it be a really small remodel or even a huge remodel of their whole home. So definitely go check it out. There are lots of great designers on there. This is our formal living area. So this is, where we come just to chat with friends. Occasionally my daughter does use this as a gymnastics room though, and we're jumping all over these couches. This room came together really quickly, actually. All of these tables were from the past. This is my husband's grandmother's. This was his grandfather's. These were tables of mine from a million years ago. I threw an impromptu surprise 40th birthday party for my husband right after we moved into this house, and we had no furniture. So I just kind of bought everything that was readily available, and voila, we had a room. Dirk and I did custom design these pillows as a reflection of the rug. A dear friend of mine, her name is Abby Holden, she's a local artist, and she made this amazing piece for me. We've used her in so many of our projects, and this is kind of a new step in her artistic journey, and I love it. I love the draping, I love the colors. I think she really nailed it for my home. I'm really excited about it. But I'd have to say my favorite piece maybe in my home is, like, out of all the art, is this. It's this pillow. I got this also probably 10 plus years ago. Giovanni Rizzoli, I was able to meet him in Miami. I saw this piece and I just absolutely had to have it. And after I bought it, we got to hang out all night long with the gallerist and, you know, go swimming. And it was just this like amazing memory. I love it. It's silk. And then he actually, with the needle, infuses ink at the top and then lets it drip down. And whatever happens is the art. I absolutely love it. This little chair is actually mine from childhood. My uncle, he lives on a farm in Wisconsin and he loves to build things. And he built me a little table with two of these chairs, and my daughter used them in the past. She's a little bit too big for them now, but I think as a sculpture is just full of love, and it makes me, you know, smile a little bit when I see it. And I love the form. It's so simple, but also beautiful. I just love it. So this iron chair, when I lived in Minneapolis, I went through a Craigslist phase where anything cool on Craigslist, even when I had no use for it, I would just go and get it. And I bought 2 of these chairs, and I literally have never had anything to do with these chairs. Like, I did not have a place for them until I moved into this house. They were always kind of in the basement, used as props for things, but they never had a full home. But yeah, I really like, you know, it's kind of like French deco. I'm not exactly sure what this chair is all about, to be honest, but I loved it. I am a bit of the philosophy that if you love something, it should be yours. And, you know, if you love something, everything will work out with it. So if you have the means and you have the faith in yourself and you have like the space to store it, I'm all about buying it 100%. There are so many moments where I have been responsible and passed up on things, and then, you know, 2 months later, it's the only thing I want for a space and I can't find it again. So, you know, do it. This floating shelf is actually a piece of art. It's a sculpture. I bought it at an art show from a small gallery in Minneapolis a long time ago. It's a series, and, you know, I like it because it reminds me of my architectural roots. And I like the raw materials that are used, and the foundation that it displays is really grounding to me and means something for my life. You know, build a good foundation type of thing. This piece is actually a game table. It's a vintage game table. Sometimes we play chess, sometimes we play checkers as a family. Pretty cute. I love it. For me, when you have stuff you love, it always works. It's really funny. Last night, my business partner and I were chatting about it, and we were laughing about how, you know, just going through this house and finding things and creating scenes and just how well everything works together. And we were trying to come up with this through line of what it was exactly that made it work. And the answer we came up with was that it was my stuff. That, you know, my heart, my soul, my brain is attracted to a specific thing, and I listen to it. And I don't usually have a plan when things are purchased, but at the end of the day, it just all comes together in a beautiful way. So I don't think there really is a, you know, something to look for. I think it's really just trusting yourself, trusting your eye, trusting your gut, believing in what you know is good. It doesn't mean that everyone has to like it. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things in this house that people do not like. In fact, people have told me, you know, like, wow, I would have never done that. I don't like it, but it works for me. It makes my heart sing. So if you like it, just trust it. Everything will come together eventually. I would describe this home as minimalist cottage. I prefer a minimalist aesthetic, and I want to display my contemporary art collection. My art collection is like very close to my heart, and it's a yearbook, I would say, of my life. So the way that I have just decorated this home, I would say, is very eclectic. The color palette that we went with for this house is very neutral because our art tends to be very colorful. So we stayed with the blacks, the whites, the ivories, the creams, the browns, everything neutral that's built in, and then all of our artwork kind of pops off the walls. And textures, when you use a neutral palette, I think texture is so important so that you just don't live in a very sterile environment. So texture everywhere, boucle, velvet, wood, cement, marble. We love the mixed metals. We love all the mixing of everything, all the textures. Now we're taking a step up into the dining room. As you can see, it's on the upper level, just like the turret. We almost actually filled in this lower space when we bought the house, but I'm really glad we left it because it has a little coziness down there. My husband is so anti step downs. I mean, it almost was like a deal breaker for this house, but we've left it and now we love it. Now we are in the dining room. All these chairs came from my last home and the table as well. This is a French antique, and it was built the same year as my last craftsman bungalow that I was living in. And I love the table, and when I found out it was built the same year as my house, I just knew I needed to own it. So it got sent across the pond to me, and I still love it in this home as well. These are, vintage chairs that I had recovered by my friend's dad. He's a great leather worker. So these are kind of near and dear to my heart as well. We don't have a chandelier. The house came with a chandelier and it stopped working. And truthfully, I just haven't found one that I'm obsessed with yet to put in here. So we have, the one bulb, but shockingly enough, there's enough natural light in here where I don't really need more light than that. And I'm kind of in love with just the rawness of the one bulb. So it might be staying longer than I had originally thought. Over here, it's honestly a lot of my favorite found objects. I found this while I was up north at a thrift store. I love it. It's funny, my business partner had it at his house for about a year and a half while I was living in the condo, and he did not want to give it back. We absolutely loved it, and we're both so obsessed with it, but it's literally just from like a thrift store. It was probably $1 up north in northern Minnesota. And these two both came from my husband's grandparents, actually. These were left in the condo as well. A little, for a wine bottle, a little silver, a gorgeous vintage lamp. It's kind of like white and dark, white and black. The balance in the room is important. There's obviously so much white in here, but I loved all the different shades of ivory that we've included. The texture of these, I think it's amaranth, my little fuzzy amaranth. I might be wrong on that flower, but just like a huge amount of one flower type with the texture. I just love it. Over in this corner, we have this duck that came from my husband's childhood. He loves this duck. We move it around the house. We talk about the duck. It's in a lot of photos. And then this vintage light, it's kind of like a light sculpture in the corner. There's not a lot of light in this room besides the natural light. But we put this on at night, and it's kind of like this own artistic moment over here. I like the way the cord runs around on the white floors as well. I love that light. I really want this home to just be such a reflection of our family, and I want people to leave the home thinking that they know us better than when they entered the home. It is such a labor of love, this home, and it's very lived in, and I don't want people to walk in and think, oh my gosh, it's white everywhere, I'm uncomfortable. I want people to walk in and see the dog hair, see some shoe marks on the white floors, and know that life is real and it's okay to be them. It's a home full of love and acceptance, and I want that to be portrayed. my kitchen. And truthfully, when I bought this house, we didn't change a ton in here. The appliances are all what came with the house. The sink is what came with the house, but we painted the cabinets, we got new hardware, and we changed the countertops and the backsplash. Like I said, it was a rustic modern vibe throughout this whole house. So we took out the rusticity a bit. We went with all limestone, which I was afraid of, but because it's so porous, but we just own the stains. And now it's like one big stain and it just looks like it's natural. And same with the backsplash. It's like a hammered limestone tile, really, really tight grout lines. And I just love the texture. I think it just adds something that's so important. I'm so glad I went with that hammered look as opposed to the flat limestone. Of course, I had to incorporate art into my kitchen as well. And when we bought the house, there were glass floating shelves on the wall, which we removed. And I did not like the look of them. So I did not want to put more floating shelves on the wall. So I added art lights to fill up this space and then hung portraits. All of these portraits have special moments for me. And, it's a bit of a commitment, but we definitely just drilled screws directly into the tile to hang this art. This was the first piece of nice art, like real art that I ever bought. I bought this shortly after college. I was on vacation in Monaco and I was in the town of Ez, and I just wandered along this street and stumbled into this gallery, and I was obsessed with this girl. And I'd never bought art like this before, and it was definitely a splurge for me, but I just had to have it. So I had it shipped back to the States, and it's still honestly one of my very favorite pieces of art. She inspires me, and I love the colors. So that was really important to me. And then over here, while I was pregnant, my husband and I bought this at auction, and it's just, a proud woman. And I thought that was a great gift for our future daughter. And same with this piece. This is by Alex Soth, a photograph by Alex Soth that I've always loved the colors in there. It was my husband's birthday a couple days ago, and we have a leftover cake that has been devoured made by my daughter. She's a great baker. My daughter loves to create art, and we like to celebrate that. So we hang a lot of stuff up on the fridge, and I keep talking about how minimalist I am, but obviously it's not all the time. Yeah, we got her a camera so she takes a bunch of pictures and just some of our memories over the years and her beautiful artwork. So when we have big parties, these are used for wine and champagne, but when they're not being used for wine and champagne, instead of like putting them in the basement, bringing them back up, we just fill them with produce that we use all the time. So right now we've got potatoes and grapefruits and oranges, and it's easy for my daughter to walk by and grab a clementine. It also reminds us to eat fruit all the time. It's just a cute way to, I guess, display our food. We don't actually have tons of storage in this kitchen, so we had to get creative. Off of our kitchen, we have this breakfast nook. When we purchased the house, this was a built-in bar height island, I would call it, with cabinetry and, like a granite top. So we removed it. This was also a bar. Like I said, there were a lot of bars. We've got 2 wine fridges in the kitchen. We had a bar in the front office. We had a bar right here. We turned this into a pantry because there was hardly any storage in the kitchen. Then we just, brought this table and chairs from our last place we had. This is a vintage Artimity light that I found on Craigslist. I love it. The mixed woods in here. I'm not afraid of mixing the metals, mixing the textures. So, this Art Deco is actually a table where you would get ready in the morning, put on your makeup. My daughter, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people have this. She loves collecting rocks, loves it, brings home a rock every day. gets very attached to the rocks when we travel. She loves collecting seashells. So we use this to display her found objects in a beautiful way instead of just, in piles in the corners everywhere. I actually really love it. Yeah, art is kind of everywhere in our house. These pieces, they don't have a place on the wall. We can't find a good spot for them, but I love them so much. It's my other business partner from my company, She drew this for me while I was pregnant. It's a picture of like, hopefully our future dream house, which is funny because it actually turned out kind of looking like our house that we ended up buying this one. But yeah, it's me in my Ugg boots and my husband kissing my belly and my poor dog who we lost a couple years ago, Gremlin, and me working on my laptop while being pregnant. And this is actually a pattern that we also made for my daughter Kitty while I was pregnant with her. It's a wallpaper that we created, but that's our family. Yeah, so I can't fully put them in the basement. So they're sitting on the floor. Yeah, but the breakfast nook has a lot of art from our family as well. My dad painted me this. I studied abroad in Florence, so he painted this for me. A dear friend of mine, a Turkish painter, his name's Buri Shuribis, he sent me this as a thank you for a piece of art I commissioned from him. This is my husband's, he studied abroad in London, and he had his favorite corner in London painted. He commissioned this while he was over there to have painted, so it's really funny that we both ended up with artwork from where we studied abroad. So we thought, let's put it in the kitchen. What else are we gonna do with it? I don't know. Yeah, art everywhere. Full of memories. I went to school in Boulder, Colorado for architecture, and I loved it. And when I graduated, I got what I thought was my dream job, and I was designing all the civic buildings around the country. So I was flying with the principal architect all around and, working on LAPD and the Dallas Police Department and the Atlanta courthouse, and just, I was doing all these amazing things, but I don't know if I got burned out or what happened, but I stopped loving it. And I pivoted to doing more design build work, and within that, because it was so focused on remodeling, I was picking all the finishes and getting to know the clients a lot more, and I ended up getting licensed in interior design, and my career took a pretty hard turn at that point, but I've never looked back. I just really like the interior design aspect of things so much more than the architectural aspect of things. And I also am green in the sense that I don't like building on the earth. So I like remodeling a lot more than traditional architecture. So I'm more interior architecture all the way to decorating. A lot of our clients right now, have us pick all of their books and their plates and certainly their art. So it's not necessarily all architecturally based, but that was my background. So now off the breakfast nook is our family room. This is truly where we spend 90% of our time in our house. We're constantly playing on the ground here with our daughter. This is where we watch TV. It's the one TV we have in the house, actually. We're not big TV people, but come on, we still watch TV. I can't avoid it. This is our beloved sectional that we nap on and eat on, and much like our countertops, it has kind of turned into one big stain over the years, and we're just owning it. The art on the wall here is a little bit political, a little bit sentimental. It's all from travels for the most part. My daughter's first family portrait is on the end. That's where we start with. This Todd Norstein painting next to it was a gift to my husband for our marriage. It says, I dreamt of you. I thought that was so sweet. Yeah, and just some reminders of our past as well as some political statements from our travels that I picked up. This is our kind of intimate family area with our family photos. We don't have tons of family photos throughout the house, but we are a family at the root of everything. So the lighting in here, I do love. These are our beetle sconces. They're kind of everywhere right now. You see a lot of them, but I always wanted them, and we have 4, encompassing this whole entire area. So we turned those on and just uplights the walls, and it's great movie lighting if anyone is interested in that out there. It's like not in your eyes at all, but it's a really soft light. Speaking of all the mixed metals in here, we have this tree that was actually on our old condo. It was left on our condo's terrace. And, at first it's kind of weird, but I absolutely love it. You can move the pieces around, and there's something special when you have a sculpture in a home. I tend to like people more when they have a sculpture in their home. So that's our tree, bringing the nature inside a bit. But yeah, this is where we color. This is where we paint. Below the TV is a vintage Knoll bench that was another one of those things where I saw it and had to have it and did not have a place for it. And it's big, so this is where it's living for now. But it's really functional. Our dog lays on it. Our daughter jumps off of it. It serves a lot of purposes. This chair here in the corner is a Mr. chair that I found on Craigslist years and years and years ago. It's great. This is where I store all of my excess fabric. I'm a fabric collector. And again, I don't always have a use for it right away. So that's where I keep all my excess fabric. Hockey puck with a heart on it. My daughter's learning to play hockey right now, and a little inspiration for her. It's a custom Nordic knots rug. It's made of recycled material, and it is super durable. This is right off of our laundry room, which is, where we enter into the house from the garage. And it's right off of our door to our deck, and our beloved Breezy goes in and out of the house 400 times a day, tracks in dirt, and it just vacuums right up. I love it. And because it's such a strange shape, this kind of like breezeway-esque space, there are no rugs that fit this. So Nordic Knots was really great to work with, and we have a couple custom rugs from them in the house, and they've been great. One of my favorite lights in the house is this Lumfaro Luminaries ceiling light. It's got this ivory color, so it almost goes away on the ceiling. But again, it's the uplight. I really dislike direct light in your eyes when you are trying to relax. And this, just like the beetle sconces, it provides this beautiful light up on the ceiling. Another found object that is very near and dear to our heart is this drum that we use as a side table. We put coasters on it, of course, to protect the leather. But this is from my husband's childhood. It's probably his favorite piece in the whole entire house. I mean, when our daughter attempts to jump onto it, it is not a pretty sight. So yeah, this is a drum that, she plays a lot, that he used to play as well as a lot of this stuff. This leather rhino was his grandfather's, and it's also very special. It's kind of our little collection of past family tributes over here. When I think about decorating my own home, it's funny because it's all I've been doing for the last 3 years. This home has been a big part of my life, and redecorating it. I do love it because I get to revisit all these past memories and, pull out family heirlooms and think, what goes with what? My style is definitely not, let's go to the store and buy all new. It's like, maybe in a couple years when we take another trip, I'll find a new piece of art and it'll end up there. So I do love it, but I do have more of a difficult time committing to my own home than other people's homes, which is why it's so great to have Dirk in my life, my business partner. I mean, he comes over and he's like, Jenny, this is what it is. I can help you make this decision. So it's a little bit more difficult for me, but I do love it. Welcome to my office. Pretty simple space. This is full of wallpaper inventory and samples for my interior design business. This is where I spend my days working, drawing. Of course, we've got some more art. This is a portrait of me by Frank Gard, who's a local artist. And this is another local artist, Ruben News, who I am a huge fan of. That was another splurge purchase that I just had to have years and years and years ago, and I'm so grateful I did it. Then, we've got the pile of fabric that needs to be turned into pillows, etc. for clients. All the books that constantly inspire me. These are just modern bookshelves that I do love. We've got a couple more in the house as well. I think it's a great space saver, and it's a way to actually see your books. Let me show you my powder bath next. This powder bath, the office was a bar, which we took out of the home, and this space was actually a lot smaller than it was now, even though this is still a pretty small space. So we made this a little bit larger, took some space away from the office, and we turned it into a little bit of a Terrence Coe gallery, just a bunch of pieces of art that we purchased while we were dating, and again with the minimalist lighting and the minimalist fixtures. We have a true passion for this company, Zieta. They have all these mirrored balloon-like shapes that, it's art, but it's also reflective. So instead of having a normal mirror, I have this piece of art that I've hung as a mirror. I mean, it's the powder bath. We don't need to put on makeup or anything in here. So it doesn't have to be super functional. Now we're on our way upstairs, and here we are in the foyer. This is my other French fan chair that I found on Craigslist. My business partner and I painted the base of this one for a wallpaper project that we did, and I just kept this as a little bit of a souvenir. This was painted by local artist Todd Norstein. This is actually my dad's old band. During COVID, everyone was sad that they couldn't, go to as many shows and concerts as they used to go to, so he started doing this series of band shirts, and I never thought that he would paint the one I sent in, but then he did. But then someone instantly purchased it, and I was devastated because I wanted to purchase it. So he said, okay, send me another one. So there are 2 free and easy Todd Norstein paintings out there, and I only have one of them. And then this piece right here, it's kind of funny. Me and my business partner, Dirk, one of our favorite artists, I bought this piece for him, and then decided I loved it so much I had to buy one for myself. So we both have them in our offices. Well, this is right outside of my office, but we both have them in our homes. Kind of like best friend, business partner art, as one does. I find my inspiration from my life and what's going on around me. My aesthetic changes with my moods and current events. I'm mostly inspired by my travels, but I would say that artwork is the number one thing that inspires me or helps me to create a room. Artwork is so near and dear to people's hearts, and I think you can really see into their soul by the art that they've collected over the years or the art that's been handed down to them. So let's head upstairs. So along the stairwell, I actually also turned this into a gallery because I can't help myself. But this is a really amazing beeswax light fixture. It's like a light sculpture. I think there are only 10 in the world. So they used beeswax and canvas to create the form, and it's supposed to be, misshapen and raw. And then we have these Ai Weiwei masks hanging here. This was another gift I bought for my daughter while she was in my tummy. She was a COVID baby. So I thought this was something that, would help her know a little bit more about her journey into this world, to add to have in her art collection as she grows up. So this is my bedroom. We have a little sitting area in front of the only fireplace in the house. It's wood burning, which I love, but it is, somewhat of an unfortunate location, it being in our bedrooms, because we don't get to enjoy it as often as we'd like. But this is our little sitting area. We make fires at night. We sit here, we read. These chairs are very, very special to me. I love the form. I wanted them forever, and I finally got them. I love these chairs. So this is another one of our adored, loved Nordic Knots custom rugs. This is another weird shaped room, and this rug, I loved the rug, and Nordic Knots let us customize the size, which was just wonderful. And we inherited all of this amazing vintage fireplace stuff. So we've got the fireplace screen, we've got, the pokers, we've got the bed warmer. It works perfectly in our room, so we were really lucky with that. This is our bed. You step up into it, which I was not excited about at all, but we went with it. It came with the house. I do kind of like it now. It's kind of like this cool 80s moment every time I get in. We've got some Jenny Holzer art above the bed. This is my sweet little stuffed animal Nubbins that I got from Santa when I was 3 years old. And honestly, she's gone all over the world with me, and I do sleep with her every single night. So as you can see, this is a California king bed. It takes up almost this whole entire space. So it's so hard to find end tables that fit. But honestly, I bought these cubes and I did not have something to do with them. And I've had them forever. And they honestly fit perfectly. They're Milo Bauman vintage. And then they are so short. So we just stacked a bunch of our art books on top to keep the lamps where they actually work as lamps and help us see things. Otherwise, they'd be too low and we wouldn't actually get any light from them. So yeah, that worked out perfectly for us. They're vintage cubes, one on each side, and it takes up the whole entire space in here. My favorite thing about my home is honestly the land. I came out to Wayzata and Orono kind of kicking and screaming from a little bungalow in the city, and now I can't imagine going back to the city and living in a tiny, well, it isn't tiny, but a small home with neighbors right next door. I absolutely love the serenity of this home and all the natural light, and my deer family and my turkey family that wanders around. I'd say my favorite room in the house, though, is definitely my daughter's room. It's so full of her energy. And I don't know, it's huge for a little girl's room, which is, I think, really fun. All right, welcome to Kitty's bedroom. There's a lot going on in here, but that's how we live our life, so it makes a lot of sense. This wallpaper is Shishi wallpaper, designed by my business partner and I, Kate. This is our spring chinoiserie, and my daughter's favorite colors are pink and red. So this is my, I would say, more subdued version of pink and red for her bedroom. Lots of stripes, lots of shapes. These are custom pillows that we also had made that Shishi designed, but they do work amazing with this wallpaper. This is a Say London sofa. It's called the Stay sofa. I've always loved this sofa, and I did buy this and have never had a place for it until we bought this house. It lived in my basement in my craftsman bungalow for a long time. But now it's I don't know, I just think it fits her personality, and this is where we read books every night before she goes to bed. My business partner Dirk gave her this when she was born. Cute little chair, Louis Ghost. Of course, we have the flowers. We have the flowering azalea trees for her. She loves pink so much. This is her cute little table. We've got the vintage lighting in here, of course. This is her favorite stuffed animal, Lammy, that I think should be noted. This is another member of our family. This is Lammy. The custom drapery, I found this fabric one day randomly on a hunt with my business partner for other things, and I thought, let's just bring another level of color into this room. And I love how the stripes matched the striped carpet, but in a different scale. So I think it plays really nicely, and actually, to be honest, kind of in a subtle way, it plays off of each other, even though it's a strange thing to say that this is subtle. She has her own Christmas tree in here during Christmas, and when we took it down, she was so sad. So I got her a Valentine's Day tree this year, and I love needle pointing. So I make her a lot of needlepoint ornaments for Christmas, but I've started doing needlepoint ornaments for Valentine's Day as well. So she decorated it with her own ornaments and hair clips and whatnot. And then we have, the one true ornament on here. She goes to French immersion school, so je t'aime. So this room does like pack a punch, and it is full of color and it is full of pattern. And you know, the reason I leaned so hard into color in this room was because the wallpaper, you know, being installed on the walls is the art. So I love layering art on top of wallpaper, don't get me wrong. But, you know, this reflects my daughter's personality. I don't think that every kid's room has to be full of color at all. But she is full of color. So this is her space and it should reflect her. This is my daughter Kitty's bathroom. It was very different when we bought the house. I mean, I think they literally just found tiles on the floor and like put them together, like nothing matched in here. It was wild. So we gutted this place. We used simple tile, but created a really nice like pattern. And I found these amazing vintage light fixtures that I had to have. So all in polished nickel, everything's polished nickel in here. This is, you know, the walls are lined with the same tile pattern from floor to ceiling that we used in the vanity area. Oh, Breeze, you want a bath? Silly girl. This is our guest bedroom. It's a nice little place for our friends and family to call home when they're over here. It's kind of our mid-century vintage room. Lots of textures, lots of neutral colors again. This is special to us. This was the first time I think my husband fell in love with art. We were at a gallery in New York together and he left and he had this glimmer in his eye, and it was like the moment that he understood what I'd been talking about. So we framed it just to like reminisce about that time together. The word home to me is certainly, you know, a place where you feel comfortable, and it has to be full of love. A home is a reflection of yourself, and I think that this home definitely did that for me and my family. Homeworthy, it's been great having you here. Thank you for coming, but I've got to get back to work. Until next time, bye.
To book a virtual consultation with Jenny Jorgensen on TALD, scan the QR code on your screen or click on the link in the description box below. Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.